Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis Damian Podcast, episode 63. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys would like to ask us any questions, you can leave a voice message at the Anchor link or in the YouTube comment section. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming and entertainment news, including a Nintendo Switch Pro and a new Batman animated series. Then we'll head into our recent activities in gaming and anime. Lastly, our thoughts on the Sonic Central event. So, first, we're going to give you guys a quick update on the on the Pokemon cards. As you can tell, I'm very excited to talk about the Sonic thing. But first is the Pokemon card situation that we talked about last time with the whole Target suspending in-store purchases, and I pretty much predicted this, that Walmart's going to be the big retailer to now sell the cards and people are going to be flocking to them. So there was a video that came out on Twitter of pretty much all of these scalpers that swarmed the card section, and it was kind of chaotic, I'm going to be honest, just by watching the video. And yeah, I mean, it just sucks that anyone today that's a Pokemon card collector and even kids today that are into Pokemon and want to get the cards, that this is the reality that they currently live in, where you have a bunch of these scalpers just running to the card section with their shopping carts and just trying to grab as much as they can. And yeah, I'm not sure if Walmart's going to do anything about this. I doubt it, just because Walmart's very hands-off, I think, when it comes to their stuff. But what are your thoughts, Damien?
Yeah, I think Walmart just cares about selling stuff. I mean, look, we've all been to a Walmart. We know what it's like in there. I don't think they really care that much about I don't want to say they don't care about the safety about their employees or anything, but they definitely want to sell stuff, right? And I don't think they're gonna put a ban on Pokemon cards or anything. But it's sad to see, there's a lot of kids that might really want to buy the new Pokemon cards since, again, like we said before with Jake Paul or Logan Paul, I forget which Paul
Logan,
brother.
yeah.
Yeah, Logan Paul, right? A lot of kids watch him and they're probably like, oh, I want to buy some Pokemon cards. And now they walk into Walmart, want to buy a pack, and then they're all gone already because all these scalpers are just grabbing them all up right as soon as the store opens. So, like we said before, it's just kind of just a sad thing. Scalpers kind of just ruin everything when it comes to new releases, especially over the past year. I felt like it's been way worse. Obviously scalpers have always been pretty bad. But I feel like with all the shortages with COVID, with obviously the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and now with the new Pokemon cards coming out, it just makes the situation more clear that these guys suck. That's because there's so much, there's not enough to go around, and then you just take everything and try to sell it for a profit. And the worst part is they probably would make a lot of money because, again, these things are not being in production as much. So yeah, unfortunately it's just very lucrative for them. So I don't see them stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and with, the stimulus checks and unemployment and all of this other stuff, people have this sort of income to spend on things like this. And it just sucks that because of COVID and because of everything that's been going on, people are less willing to go into stores and buy these, their hobbies pretty much. And now they're forced to compete against other people online at retailers if they can. And then on top of that, you have to obviously pay scalper prices for these things. And the only way to really combat against scalpers is to just not pay these prices. And if I was still into Pokemon card collecting today, I'd probably just say screw it and just forget about it, because I mean, already the hobby in and of itself is kind of expensive as is, because packs are $4 to $5 each. And then when you calculate that into, let's say if you wanted to go and get a booster box, that would be $100 if you wanted to, just get the 36 packs. And if you're trying to complete the whole set, but not trying to buy individual cards, you're gonna have to buy more packs, etc., etc. It is a very expensive hobby, if you can tell. And the fact that now, scalpers and even some online retailers that specialize in selling Pokemon cards, they've noticed that, hey, if people are willing to pay double, triple, even quadruple the amount for a regular pack, might as well hike it up to that price, which, I'm not gonna diss them or anything, because if they're able to make more money off of that, it is what it is, because if they don't hike up their prices, there's going to be someone else that's going to go on their website, buy it for the retail price if they were to charge it that, and then, flip it somewhere else. So I don't blame the small businesses like Poke Order or even some other card online shops that are sort of hiking up their prices. I just think that, people that are collectors today should definitely be very wary about, buying at these high prices because you're sort of just like feeding into the whole cycle of these scalpers sort of winning. But it is obviously a very tricky and tough situation because I can't really say for myself because I'm not a Pokemon card collector today. But it is definitely a rough situation, like I said.
Yeah, like no one really wins here. Everyone kind of just loses. Especially the people that just like are just casual card collectors. Maybe just want to actually collect the cards and maybe like trade them for other cards and not really looking for like a profit on any of them. All the people you see here, I doubt that they're Pokemon fans or like card collectors themselves. They're kind of just looking for a quick buck. So unfortunately, that's just how it is right now. Hopefully, they figure something out. Hopefully, they could like start producing more cards or something, because the situation is like getting pretty bad, like it's still going on, so yeah, not great.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's gonna be like a direct way for like the Pokemon company to like directly sell it on like their website or like have it up for like pre-order so they have like an idea. But then again, like the whole like pre-order business model with anything, there's gonna be some sort of delay with that, like when you pre-order a sort of release for like a shirt or like a collection or whatever, and then they have to put that into production once pre-orders close. There could be some delays there, especially with COVID still as a present sort of factor. But yeah, I just think that the whole Pokemon card situation is just only going to get worse. I felt like the last episode we were kind of at the tipping point, but now with sort of, this whole Walmart thing, it's not going to stop anytime soon. And I'm sure that there's going to be a similar event that happened with the Target event where like there was someone that literally pulled out a gun and there is almost a assault happening there. It's probably going to happen at Walmart eventually.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time, especially, look, if Walmart is always kind of sus, I'm not going to lie. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see something on the news that someone's about to get shot over some Pokemon cards, and, that's just... probably at that point Walmart would have to do something, but I guess we're just gonna have. I mean, the only times things happen anywhere in this world is if someone like dies, unfortunately. So I guess we're just gonna have to get up to that point until like Walmart takes this like more seriously. Like, so yeah, not a great situation, like I said.
Yeah, definitely very tricky.
All right, so first we got a first bit of Sega news, and obviously we got the Sonic stuff. We'll talk about that later. So Sega is considering reviving classics like Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. They're also including to revive Panzer Dragoon and Virtual Fighter as well. I think this is great. I think Sega, kind of like Nintendo, has like a huge backlog of like really good IPs that people like really enjoy, but they just never do anything with them. Especially Sega. Sega mostly just does Sonic and Yakuza now. Like they have like a bunch of cool stuff. Like again, Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio being like pretty big. Well, especially Jet Set Radio. I know people are really happy about hearing about this, but and I think they could do a really good modern Jet Set Radio game. It's a very unique game. I never. Like, there's not really much games like it either. Like, I know the Lethal League people are making like the own sort of version of it, but
Bomb
it
Rush,
hasn't.
Cyberfunk.
Yeah, Cyberfish Bomb. Yeah, it's a really weird name, but it looks cool. But yeah, it shows how unique the idea of a game is. So I'm happy that Sega is really considering to revive some of these old IPs that haven't been really, they've been dormant for a while. Panzer Dragoon got that remake as well, which was pretty good, I think. I think it was a little overpriced for what it was, but people kind of liked it, I guess. Crazy Taxi, I don't know how they would do that as a modern thing, but go ahead. It's more like a arcade experience, if anything, and Virtual Fighter would be also pretty interesting as like a new sort of like fighting game in the mix here. But yeah, I just think Sega just has a bunch of really good IPs, and they just kind of just sit on them for like no reason. So it'd be really cool to see them really bring them back, instead of just having Sonic everywhere.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. I played Crazy Taxi on the PS2 like maybe like 2012, 2013. I forget which year, but somewhere around there. I bought it at Plane Shit and sort of, was like, hey, let me go and try this out. And it was really fun. It's a arcade game and, they brought it over to home consoles. So I'm wondering how they're going to do it today. Probably not just like a straight port because that's been done over and over again with that game alone. I wonder how they're going to make it even more interesting. And then with Jet Set Radio, I think that the what's it called, Team Reptile,
Yeah.
coming out and doing the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk thing, and seeing a lot of people being excited about that. Sega was probably like, hey, like we have Jet Set Radio, maybe we could just bring it back as well. And yeah, that is also like a archaic game where you sort of just go around and spray paint things, and it's fun. I had a lot of fun playing it around that same time, around 2013, 2014, on the PSN store. And I think that both of these games have a sort of place in gaming now as sort of a niche sort of nostalgia sort of title. Sega could probably charge it, like $20 at most, I would say, maybe even 25 if they are ballsy enough. I think any more than that would be a little risky, just because I feel like that these titles are very much in the niche genre today, and obviously gauging sort of interest with these titles as well, while putting it at that price point would be a very good idea in my opinion. But obviously, like, how much they want to put into these sort of revivals is up to them, and the pricing and all that other stuff. But yeah, I think that those two titles in particular I'm very excited for. Obviously, Panzer Dragoon and Virtua Fighter are lesser known titles, and I'm sure that if they were to go and get some sort of revival, there's going to be a lot of people in the gaming community that would be just as excited as well. So
Yeah. Again, like they have even more IPs. I didn't even say, like, like Space Channel 5, and they're finally starting to bring Phantasy Star more back to the West again. Like with Phantasy Star Online 2 just got like the localization, and they're bringing like the new generation or whatever, like the not a sequel to Phantasy Star Online 2, but it's like a weird expansion that's supposed to be like this is a fresh new start. So that's very promising. So hopefully Sega starts taking like these IPs and bringing them over here, or like just reviving them in general, because it has a lot of potential. And Sega, I feel like it's been on a crutch with mostly Yakuza lately. Like they've been really with Yakuza. I mean, there's a great game series, but it'll be nice to get some variety in there. So yeah, very happy to hear this news.
yeah. All right. So next bit of news we got here is that the brand new Zelda Skyward Sword remake is getting its own amiibo, and the amiibo will allow you to fast travel. And the amiibo itself looks great, but the problem is that this is the only way to fast travel in the game. So very nice paywall from Nintendo to do this. I'm sure that this was a very huge concern when the Smash Brothers amiibo came out. At first was like, what are these amiibo gonna do for the game? And it was just like, oh, like these are just like, like virtual fighters, or they're like little extra like DLC pieces for like these other games. But now, like, you have this amiibo that's strictly locked behind a paywall for a feature that I feel like is very much needed for Skyward Sword, in my opinion. As a person that played that game from start to finish and still didn't really like it, I think that fast travel would benefit it so much, because you backtrack to a lot of areas that you've previously went to a lot throughout the game, and fast travel would just make the experience so much easier. So the fact that you have this amiibo that I believe is like $25 already. Scalpers have already sort of gotten their hands on it, sort of like pre-ordered, and they're already reselling it on eBay for like $60, probably even more if I go to and check right now. So yeah, I think that this is definitely a flub by Nintendo, but yeah, I just don't see why they would do this, especially since for so long amiibo have been just like little extra DLC things. I guess recently with like the Animal Crossing amiibo cards, and like sort of with the rise of New Horizons, people have been valuing amiibos more, just because they actually do have like a like in-game feature that you can't really get anywhere else. But with Animal Crossing, I believe the cards just like allow you to get that villager. So that might be like a thing for, those Animal Crossing fans. But like, this is literally a feature in the game that probably could have been implemented, but they just decided to just put it on the amiibo.
Yeah, it's really dumb. Because amiibo's always been pretty non-intrusive. Like their bonuses have always been really like, who cares? Like, oh, you got like an extra item or whatever. But most of the time, you kind of just get it for the figure itself. I think the only time it has done something is, again, the Animal Crossing one, where you could sort of like force the game to give you the villager you want, which is pretty nice. And I think Splatoon 1 give you some extra challenges depending on which amiibo figure you put on there in the first game. I think it works like that in the second game as well. But this one is like just a nice quality of life feature that should have just been in this remaster anyway. They're not really changing a lot about Skyward Sword in general. the Wind Waker remaster and Wii U added the turbo sail thing where you were able to go like really fast. It fixed the Triforce Hunt at the end. It did a lot to improve that game and give a lot of quality of life features. Skyward Sword really needed something like that. I mean, I personally have not played Skyward Sword yet. Like I haven't that's probably one of the few Zelda games I haven't played yet. But I have seen enough like Let's Plays and like streams of it to know yeah, the fast travel would be very nice, and it just seems like a feature that would be a nice addition to the remaster. But locking it behind just like an amiibo is really dumb.
Yeah.
Also,
go on.
I'm sorry. I just want to say also I think if you want the fast travel, you gotta just keep putting the stupid amiibo on your thing all the time. That just seems annoying. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, to anyone that is able to go and get their hands on this amiibo and then sort of create their or transfer that sort of NFC function onto like a little thing that you could sell on like eBay or Etsy, those people are gonna make a lot of money because there's probably gonna be a lot of people that are gonna buy Skyward Sword Remake but don't want to pay the $60-$70 that people are asking for on eBay just for the fast travel feature, because obviously that's goddamn stupid. So they're probably gonna go with a much cheaper option. I'm not sure exactly how much those like custom NFC amiibo chips go for, because personally I haven't bought those myself, but I know that there are plenty of people out there that have bought them because they want this certain Animal Crossing village or they want to do this little function within this Nintendo game or whatever. But I think that them literally locking a feature behind this amiibo is a first, and I hope that it doesn't happen again, just because of how much scalping this amiibo itself was probably already going to cause to begin with, because Zelda amiibos, like in general, they are known to be sort of high in value after they're released. Obviously with the or maybe not as obvious, but with the 25th anniversary Zelda amiibos with the links from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and I believe there was a Skyward Sword one there as well. And like some of those were like exclusive to like different retailers and things like that. That release of amiibos was a whole mess, and like trying to get those as like a complete set for retail price was very hard. And for this one to just straight up have a feature that is locked behind this single amiibo, I wish it was just like the Zelda amiibo in general, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. Like if you have the Zelda from Smash Brothers, you could use this for Skyward Sword, but I don't think that's how that works. So yeah, I just hope that this doesn't become a trend with amiibos in general, because I think that them being as like little fun DLC features in these certain games is fine. I thought that was, perfect with how it was, and them putting a feature that was probably needed for this game, especially just locked behind this amiibo, is just dumb.
Yeah, and I honestly thought we were like starting to not phase out amiibos, but starting to like not make them as big of a deal, since I don't really see Nintendo really pushing them as hard anymore. But maybe they want to change that, and maybe they want okay, well, amiibo sales, it might be they're kind of going down. Like the Smash ones sell obviously because it's like, oh, you can get Joker and stuff, like that's cool. But with like regular Nintendo amiibos, I don't think that many people care as much anymore as it was in the when it first came out. So maybe this is just a way to be like, hey, you should buy amiibos again. But yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't become a trend in future like Nintendo games where they lock like significant amount of like either quality of life or content behind these amiibos. It should always be just like oh, you get some items and that's about it. Like I don't really want them to like have these like quality of life features or content locked behind them, because again, that's just dumb. And it's not like DLC where you can just buy it in the Nintendo store easily. No, you have to like physically like go out and find it, or like just hope you could get it online or whatever. Like it's just way more of a pain in the ass than just like having it as just DLC at that point. So yeah, it's a bad situation. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't do it again, but knowing Nintendo, they might. So we're just gonna have to wait and see about that.
Yeah.
All right. So next we got some new Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart gameplay. So
yes, sir.
they showed a bit of new gameplay. I believe it was like 12 minutes of new gameplay. Well, this one wasn't, but they did show, there was another trailer that shows like some just like the I guess like the previews, right? Like they show like a bunch of gameplay plus this trailer as well. And all I have to say, they've been releasing trailers like crazy for this game, and I mean I've been watching every single one. Usually I don't do that. Usually I just watch like the main trailers and that's it, so I could just experience the game for myself. But I'm obviously I'm very excited for this game, so I've been kind of just looking at like every little detail I can. And I'm very happy with like a lot of the weapons they've been showing, since they've been reusing a lot of the future weapons for a long time, like the combustor to use like in every freaking like PS3 game, which is really annoying. Mr. Zircon was used all the damn time. This time it just seems like an NPC, which is nice. Since those weapons did get boring. Even the Groovatron got boring after a while, since it was such a like broken weapon that you could just stun lock every enemy in the game and kind of just win. So I'm happy that they're moving away from that and bringing in like new weapons or weapons we haven't seen in a while. Like in one of the previews, it showed the Glove of Doom from the original PS2 games, which is really neat to see. There was also one of the cut weapons from Ratchet and Clank 1, which is like a drill weapon. So that's really cool to see that in this game as well. And just again, it just seems like a lot of creative weapons as well, like the sprinklers that turn people into plants and stuff. Like that just seems like a really neat weapon. So yeah, the gameplay just looks really neat. The combat just looks so much faster than any other Ratchet and Clank game due to the like that Phantom Dash you get. So you get like the iframes and stuff when you dodge. It just seems like the gunfights are going to be a lot more fun than they were previously. And I thought the combat in Ratchet and Clank was very like amazing, but it looks like it's going to be even better since I feel like they could throw a lot more at you now since you have that like dodge roll basically. So hopefully the game is more challenging as a result. I mean, I doubt it, but we'll see. But yeah, I overall I'm just very excited. Like the game just looks great,
Yeah, I think that the new movement options that Rivet and Ratchet have with the sort of iframes dash, and then on top of that you do get the boots as well for both characters, and I think obviously Ratchet needs them more because he doesn't have Clank for most of the adventure, I'm going to assume. But yeah, like you said, the gameplay still looks top notch. I mean, Insomniac Games have been lead developers for their own baby for like the longest time, and they obviously know what they're doing, and this being the next main installment for the series, I cannot wait to go and see what they have in store. Obviously not just for gameplay because they have that like down to the T, but also for the story because there's so much that they've been doing for the series since 2002 or whatever. It's been a long journey, and I'm very excited to go and see how Rivet plays into this game's story and how it all sort of connects and comes together, because I'm sure that she's already popular enough that depending on how this game ends, they are probably going to bring her back in sequels, hopefully, because I think that having two Lombaxes and just like multiple different characters to sort of play around with, even if they do work and function similarly, I think is a very interesting and cool idea. But yeah, the gameplay, I'm watching this like Game Informer one that came out on like May 12th. It looks, still top notch and really fun.
Yeah, I'm just really excited that it's finally like a full length Ratchet and Clank game because the last sort of like full adventure was A Crack in Time, and that came out like in 2009. So it's been a really long time. We've had a lot of like bite-sized Ratchet and Clank adventures like Into the Nexus and the reboot, which were both like technically budget games where they weren't that long and they weren't like a full $60, or I guess now it's $70. So having like a full project, around a Ratchet and Clank game just makes me so excited. So yeah, I'm definitely really looking forward to this game, obviously. If you can't tell, every time we talk about it, I get very excited because I love Ratchet and Clank. So yeah, I'm just very happy to see what they're gonna throw at us. All the crazy new weapons, like new gadgets. You know how it is with Ratchet and Clank. So, and hopefully this is really shows like the power of the PS5 with this game is insane. Like, even we're going to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West. But Ratchet and Clank is like really pushing the PS5, man. Like, it looks fantastic. They, of course, with the rifts and stuff, like with the SSD loading everything like super fast and everything. So yeah, it definitely is a great showcase of the PS5 and hopefully a great game in general. So yeah, I'm very excited for Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I just cannot wait for this game to come out because my PS5 has been pretty much non-existent ever since I finished Miles Morales. I would turn it on every once in a while to like watch some anime or whatever, but I would just go on my PC and just watch anime now because it's kind of, I mean, it's not a hassle, but like,
I mean, like there's some animes I don't want to see on my big screen. Right?
it's just a lot easier to just boot up on the web browser instead of like booting up my PS5 and everything like that. But yeah, I cannot wait for this game to come out in just 2 weeks. So we are very close.
Hell yeah, I'm so happy.
All right, so more PlayStation news is that PlayStation has filed a patent for Sunset Overdrive. So if you guys don't know what Sunset Overdrive is, this was a little Xbox exclusive game that Insomniac Games made a couple years ago. I believe it was for the Xbox One. It was a exclusive. It was sort of like a launch window title. It was sort of under the radar just because it was a Xbox title, but from what people have been saying, to those that did play it, and I believe it is now on PC, it's a really good game. Apparently, I mean, I believe it's a open world game, and there's a lot of wacky weapons. There's a lot of color. There's a lot of style to it. And personally, I still have yet to play it. Despite a Xbox One being present in my household and obviously a PC that can probably function with this game. If PlayStation plan on doing something with this, whether it's a remake or sort of deluxe edition for like the PlayStation 5 or whatever, I would be very interested in purchasing that, just because I feel like that this is a game that has been up my alley ever since it came out, but I just haven't sort of had the means of playing it, or now just like not the sort of motivation to play it, if you will.
Yeah, I actually have it on PC because I released like a year or two ago, and I was trying to play it, but I had like a crappy PC back then, and like I didn't have Windows 10 still, so it wouldn't even launch. So now I do, but I just haven't had a chance to play it yet. So if they are like sort of doing like some crazy stuff with it, maybe I might just wait for a remaster on PS5 if they're gonna do that. Just because I feel like it'll be at home there since, Insomniac made it and everything. But yeah, from what I heard, it's very much an Insomniac game. There's grind rails. I mean, I think that's most of the game. Kind of just use grind rails and like shoot people with crazy weapons, very bright, colorful, the things you would expect from them. So, it looks great when I first saw it. I just didn't have an Xbox One because I don't really care for Xbox as much since everything usually goes on PC anyway. But if they are going to do more with the series, that's great. I just hope Insomniac doesn't like sort of spread themselves out too thin, because I don't know if they're going to continue doing Ratchet and Clank after Rift Apart and just sort of have like a new, like, I guess, trilogy of Ratchet and Clank plus Spider-Man, obviously, that's still happening. They balance those two really well, but I don't think they could do like a third full game while making those two. But who knows? Maybe Ratchet and Clank is just a one-off game for the PS5. Maybe it might be a trilogy. I'm not too sure. Like, Spider-Man might end with Spider-Man 2, and maybe they just won't do another one, which I doubt it, but we'll see. Usually they go for trilogies, so. But yeah, very interesting to see, Sony X sort of like branching out with this new, not new IP, but with Sunset Overdrive in general, because I think it does have a lot of potential. It's very unique in its setting and stuff. So yeah, hopefully Sony gives it another chance, and Sony X could make another one.
Yeah, Sony only sort of like registered the trademark, so there's nothing in the works just yet, but it is sort of just like speculation. But like you said, I think that Insomniac games, they are very much on the rise right now, just because of the whole Spider-Man, being a huge success as it was, and them going back to Ratchet and Clank. I'm pretty sure that this game's gonna do well as well. Like it's gonna do well financially, I'm sure. Just because that there's not a lot of PS5 games out at the moment, and I think that this is the one that Sony's really pushing for right now. And I would love to see another Ratchet and Clank trilogy, obviously, and I would be surprised if they stopped after Spider-Man 2, just because they set up Miles already, and I feel like that Peter Parker might die in Spider-Man 2. That's just my theory. He might die at the end of Spider-Man 2, and then in Spider-Man 3, it's going to be a solo Miles adventure where he's a sort of veteran Spider-Man at that point, quote unquote, and we'll see another adventure with him, and then it could end off there. But, when it comes to anything with Spider-Man in media, like, he is just a moneymaker, like, no matter what. So it would be very surprising if they stopped after 2, but who knows what Insomniac wants to do, because they are very passionate about Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Sunset Overdrive, like they sort of collaborate with like another studio in-house with Insomniac games to sort of make more games around that title, because like Sunset Overdrive is obviously not as big and as sort of cherished under Insomniac games compared to Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man. But yeah, just some fun speculation, as you will.
Yeah, I definitely see Spider-Man having like a third game. It makes too much money, and I feel like there's a lot you could do with Miles in general. Because I also shared the sentiment that my Peter is probably gonna die in the second one. He's all we don't know insider knowledge, obviously, but like you could kind of feel it. But anyway. Our next bit of news here, Overwatch 2, they finally showed like more details on it. It's been kind of quiet for like, I think a year or two. I can't remember. It's been a while since they showed Overwatch 2. But the big news is that switching over to 5v5, they're going to be only one tank now. So it's going to be 2 healers, 2 DPS, and 1 tank. So I don't know about this, since there's a lot of tanks. Obviously, they're going to rework the game to fit the like 1 tank meta now, I guess. So there was a lot of tanks in Overwatch that didn't really fit the role of like a main tank, if you will. So what I define as a main tank is basically anyone with a shield. So Reinhardt, obviously could push like points and move payloads because he has a giant ass shield in front of him. Orisa also has like a shield she could put down, and it's like really good for holding points and whatnot. Winston is also pretty good. He has the bubble shield as well. He's really good for points. But then you have things like Roadhog, right? He's classified as a tank, but he has like no shields and he just has a lot of health. He's basically just a really meaty DPS. You also have people like Wrecking Ball. He could like do the grappling hook thing, like swing around. That doesn't really help anyone either. They're good off tanks. They're good to like just support the main tank and doing stuff. Especially Zarya, since she could put like a bubble shield around people. But it's not like really gonna like help the team. More so, it helps the main tank do stuff. So yeah, taking out that second tank slot is really weird. I don't know how they're gonna do like stuff now. Apparently they're nerfing shields in general, since shields are very strong right now in Overwatch. Like you kind of like need a shield to do anything unless you're doing a very specific comp or whatever. So I guess they are gonna nerf shields to not make them as important. So I don't know. It just seems like a very tricky thing to do. I would have liked it to just like made the tanks a more split role. Again, like I said, having a main tank and an off tank would have like been better, I think. But if Blizzard thinks this is the right way to do it, then fine. Like, a lot of people are not very happy with this change. A lot of people just aren't very happy with Overwatch 2 in general either, because the game basically looks exactly the same. There's not like a lot of changes to the engine itself. It kind of looks pretty much the same, just with like some changes to the PvP. I believe Overwatch 2 PvP is going to be free, though, for people that own Overwatch 1. I believe so. I'm not sure if that's true or not. That's just what I've been hearing a lot. Obviously, the PvE stuff in the story mode is going to be paid for. That's sort of like the main point of Overwatch 2. And the thing I'm the most excited about is the PvE stuff. But yeah, it seems they really want to shake up the meta with Overwatch 2. If they succeed, I don't know. I just know a lot of Overwatch League players are gonna be like gone because they're gonna lose the players. So yeah, it's very interesting, and I don't know how it's gonna work, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of my main things. I was like, oh, some of these players are going to be out of a job. That sucks. Yeah. Because, you're going from 6v6 to 5v5. But I think that Overwatch being a 6v6 game to begin with made it very chaotic for esports, I believe. Like, yeah, pretty much most of the rounds would be them charging up for their ults. And then once everyone had their ult, they would just fire it off. And then whoever won this sort of battle or whatever. So it made it very chaotic to watch. But then on top of that, when it came to like tanks and stuff, tanks were at a point in the meta, I could be wrong here, but tanks at a point where like tanks were just too strong. So like everyone just like ran like 5-6 tanks or some shit. I forget.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, that was really bad. And I was like, yeah, this probably killed the esport because no one wants to watch these fucking tanks, hit each other. But moving to 5v5 and sort of limiting it to just one tank probably sounds nice on paper, but from what you've been saying, as a person that actually did play Overwatch and actually knows sort of the heroes and the meta and everything like that, it probably will affect it in some way, obviously, because you're taking out a whole player there. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, because I think that Overwatch, when it came onto the scene, it was very, very hot. When it came to like a sort of like online sort of 6v6 game, everyone had their eyes on it because this was Blizzard's like next big game. And a lot of people liked it, and over time it sort of just like fell off of the planet. I'm not exactly sure if it was because the esport didn't do as well, or if the game itself was just not as fun as people as hoped it would be. Maybe they nerfed some heroes that people were really fond of, and whatever the case was. But I think that them moving from 6v6 to 5v5 will make it a lot more streamlined to watch, because now you have 2 less people on the screen to worry about. But yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing this as from like a esports perspective, if you will. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it all for the esports side of things. Obviously, 2 less people to like throw out alts will, make the game more clear to watch. Also, probably less boring as well, because there's 1 less tank, and the whole purpose of a tank is to like slow down the enemy team. So maybe they want the games to like have a nice constant pace. But I'm hoping they like take into consideration like what the players actually want. You know what I mean? Like, like obviously it's always good to balance things around like I guess your top players and your esports, because that's probably what's going to bring the most eyes to your game like competitively. But if you like piss off most of your fan base, it's not really gonna matter in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your pro players don't like it. I mean, I did play a lot of Overwatch back when it came out, and probably up to like 2018. Like I played a shit ton of Overwatch. But I kind of just fell off it when everyone else did, and I can't even really tell you why. I think the game just felt really stale. Like I felt like not enough was really happening in the game, and I kind of felt like I did everything I wanted to do. Like I got to plat, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I got like a golden weapon, and then I left. So I don't know. We're just gonna see how Overwatch 2 does. I'm more interested again in the PvE side of things, because that's gonna be actual like new content. But maybe this might revitalize the competitive side of things, but I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, I probably won't really bother with it anyway. Overwatch is like extremely toxic, and I kind of don't want to go back to that. Like it's pretty bad. So yeah, I guess we're just gonna see how everything plays out. I never want to like doom and gloom balance changes until they actually do happen, just so people could like get their feet wet. Maybe maybe this is a good change, but I guess we just won't know until the game launches. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see, honestly.
Yeah, balance changes are definitely iffy. Until it goes live, you can't really say. I mean, on paper, sometimes you can be like, oh, wait, like this fucking champion's dog now. Like,
Yeah.
you could probably pinpoint that out. But if it's like a sort of like buff then nerf, you're probably going to have to wait for it to go live and then see how it affects it. But we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
Next bit of news we got here is that GTA 5 is coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X/S on November 11th. So the reason I put this here is because Rockstar is still selling people GTA 5, and that's fucking crazy to me. But then again, when I think about it, when I thought about it more, it was because of GTA Online. As a person that played GTA 5. By the way, back in 2013, this is when the game came out. It came out in 2013. I literally played it just for the story, and I thought that the story was fine. I thought that it was a fun sort of, open world game with, these three characters, and you were doing like these bank heists and these sort of missions, and it was fun. I honestly really enjoyed it. It's still being released, on the fucking 2 generations after, from the PlayStation 3 all the way to the PlayStation 5 is kind of crazy. But then again, I thought about the GTA Online aspect, and that's pretty much where the game still lives on, which is why the game is still $60, because people are still buying GTA 5 on PS4s, on Xbox Ones, because they want to play with their friends and because they want to do the whole GTA Online thing where they, explore the city, do missions with their friends, and just sort of have fun. And, me and Damien were obviously not within that sphere of people. And
No.
most likely, if I had to guess like the demographic, it would most likely be like high schoolers and like teenagers that would be playing this game, despite the game being M-rated. Obviously, there's other means of getting games outside of just buying it at the store. Now you could buy it online, you could buy it digitally, etc., etc. So there are definitely ways to get around that sort of wall of, hey, you have to be 17 to play it. And GTA Online has literally kept this game alive since 2013, which is kind of crazy to me, because, I see like these memes on Twitter where it's like, the PlayStation 2 got 3 GTA games, and then the fucking, we just keep getting GTA 5s for every single generation. But it makes sense if like it keeps working, like there's no reason for Rockstar to make a new GTA game, especially since GTA 5 is so big already. I'm sure whenever they announce GTA 6, that game's going to be fucking massive. The online play is probably going to be so much better than it is already. And on top of that, when it comes to GTA Online, you also have the PC aspect with the whole role play servers and everything like that. Like that sort of boomed in streaming, and people want to go and get into that sort of role playing sort of servers and everything like that. And yeah, like GTA 5 is honestly a crazy ass game when you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also crazy to think about that. Like the gaps between some of these games are getting so large now. Like from like GTA 4, or I guess even now, like GTA 5, I think has a longer gap to GTA 6 than GTA 4 did than 5, or any of the other games in the GTA series. Same thing with like some of the other games from other generations. Like I was just thinking about like Elder Scrolls. Like Skyrim came out like 11 years ago. I'm like, what the hell? And Elder Scrolls 6 is nowhere close to coming out. Same thing with a lot of other series. Like the gaps are getting so large now between games because they keep getting larger and larger. That maybe GTA Online is like a way to just sort of like, I guess, keep people like entertained with GTA while they work on 6. Hopefully that's their next game. I mean, it probably has to be like their next thing Rockstar is going to announce, since they already did Red Dead 2. So I don't really see why they wouldn't release a new GTA at this point. But I feel like that's still kind of a ways off. Like I don't really expect to see GTA 6 for at least another 3 years.
Yes.
But maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it's closer. I don't know. But since GTA 5, they're porting it to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, it really makes me think, yeah, we're not gonna have a GTA 6 for at least another 3 years or so. So I guess this is just how it's gonna be for a while. I mean, I like GTA 6 too. I played it as well. It was pretty good.
You meant GTA 5.
GTA 5. What did I say?
I think you said 6, but
I'm sorry, GTA 5. yeah, I played 6, guys. Well, no, GTA 5. Yeah, I played GTA 5. It's good. Obviously, mostly I like to just dick around in those games. Honestly, I kind of just like, punch people and drive cars into things or whatever. But yeah, I never really got into the online. I played a little bit of it, but it was just kind of just like you kind of just die to a dude in a helicopter, and then you're like, all right, that was fun, I guess. And then you kind of just leave. So yeah, if people are really into it, that's cool. Obviously you're gonna be able to enjoy it for at least another like few years. But yeah, I'm getting kind of sick of GTA 5. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, still seeing it everywhere is kind of crazy, but if people are still playing it, there's no reason for Rockstar to push out a GTA 6 so soon. If I had to guess, like you said, the next 3 years, probably closer to the end of this console generation, probably closer to when the PS5 and Xbox Series X/S are going to be on their way out, is when I guess a GTA 6 is going to come out, because that's sort of what happened with GTA 5 that came out towards the end of the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and it came out at the end of that, so much so that the Xbox 360 version, which is the one I played, it had 2 discs. You had to fucking insert the second disc if you wanted to continue the story, because the game was just that goddamn big. So yeah, I think that, with games like you said, with Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim probably lasted so long for as long as it did because of mods as well. I feel like that was probably a huge aspect as to why people kept playing the game. And also, there were still people still trying the game out. Like for me, example, I still have yet to play Skyrim or any Elder Scrolls game to begin with. But yeah, I think that Rockstar still pushing GTA 5 is fine from a business standpoint. And obviously, I'm sure that there's some people that are sick and tired of seeing GTA 5, but they're probably the same people that go on GTA Online probably once a week and, dick around with their friends and do whatever. So, but yeah. I'm sure that there's a new GTA game on the horizons. You just got to be patient with Rockstar, because Rockstar wants to make sure that it's right, especially after everything that happened with Cyberpunk 2077, because everyone saw what the fuck happened with that, and they just want to make sure that it turns out just right.
Yeah, basically. It's always good to like delay stuff or not even announce it until it's like fully ready. Like announcing something too early is something we've definitely been seeing a lot lately. So hopefully that trend stops. I like even the past few announcements, like we're not gonna be talking about it here, but like they announced Dragon Quest 12, right? Oh, here's just a logo. Like there's nothing to talk about because it's just like here's a logo. Like, I'm getting really sick of that. Metro Prime 4, Bayonetta 3. It's like, oh, here's a logo. Elder Scrolls 6. Like come on. But yeah, anyway, time to move on. So speaking of GTA and Twitch and stuff, so Twitch added a new category for hot tubs, pools, and beaches. This is obviously meant to sort of counteract the whole hot tub meta that's been happening. A lot of streamers have been in hot tubs, barely wearing anything, and just like, hey, just hanging out. I mean, I personally don't really care because I watch like 3 streamers. I don't really explore Twitch that much in general. I watch like the same 3 people forever. So people doing their own thing, having their own hot tub parties, whatever, that's fine to me. I don't really care. But obviously it pisses a lot of people off. So having like a way to filter it out is nice. That is a good thing to have. If you just want to, I guess, filter all that stuff out. If you don't want to look at it, then there it is. This is probably also not going to be, I don't think, I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't think advertisers would probably want to, go to these hot tub streamers anymore because it has its own category or whatever. They probably would be like, okay, let's avoid these streamers. Let's just give it to like the just chatting people. So yeah, this matter probably will just die out now that this is a thing. They probably just move back to just chatting and just doing whatever. But yeah, I guess this is a way to solve the issue.
Okay. Well, there's a whole lot to talk about here just because we never talked about the whole hot tub meta with Twitch, just because me and Damien both use Twitch to watch fucking games.
Yeah.
We watch a couple of streamers. For me, mostly, I use it to watch Valorant streamers. Damien uses it to watch probably Northern Lion, Germa. Yeah. So, I use it mostly for like esports stuff and a couple of streamers that I follow, sort of religiously. So I don't explore, especially the IRL / just chatting stuff. I do not explore any of that shit because that seems boring to me. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's just not a interesting category to me. But anyways, when the whole hot tub / pool meta started, I didn't see the whole harm in it. Like if there's thousands of people on Twitch that are willing to watch this shit, well, it's the fucking audience, like if they don't know what porn is, then fuck them, like if they want to watch these girls play, these games in bikinis or whatever, then let them do that. And it's really, people that were, or I guess XQC, he was saying that this is going to like kill Twitch, but I'm like, well, this is the fucking Twitch audience's fault for like giving into these streamers and actually clicking on their streams and actually watching them, because I see them on like the front page or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that shit because I don't want to watch that shit. I want to watch this Valorant streamer. I want to watch Myth. I want to watch Tarek. I want to watch the goddamn Iceland event that's going on right now. Like there's a whole other obviously side of Twitch that is still video games, and to those people that want to watch these IRL things, they can do that. I don't see the harm in girls going putting on bikinis and sort of just like sitting in like a indoor pool or whatever and just playing games or whatever, or even not even inside of a kiddie pool and just playing games in a bikini. Like if that's if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. And then if there's guys out there that are willing to watch that, or girls, I'm not gonna judge. If there's people out there that are willing to watch this shit and pay money, subscribe, donate, do all of this other stuff, then hey, more power to them. But me personally, I'm not gonna throw a single dime at them or even watch it. But yeah, I mean, I think that people that were like overreacting in my eyes and sort of just being like that this is going to kill Twitch and like this is bad for Twitch, etc., etc. It's like, well, this is what the Twitch audience wants. This is what, these streamers are going to do. And that's sort of just like my stance on it. It might be a little controversial, but that's just my goddamn opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I basically feel the same way. I mean, like, I know they also say, oh, like these streamers are kind of like, manipulating like sort of younger, like not kids, but I guess like younger preteens that are like starting to like get into this sort of thing, be like, ooh, booba, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, like, but I'd always say, oh, mom's credit card, the game, mom, like what parents giving like their children their credit card at this point? Like I was never allowed to touch my mother's like credit card or dad's credit card or anything like that. I was always just like, nah, you're on your own, bro. Like you buy like the Wii shop points in GameStop with your money and then like use it. So I don't know where these kids are getting the money. I feel like the parents should definitely be more on top of stuff like this. If you see your kid watching like a half naked streamer, you should probably be like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's just like they're just doing the thing. I don't know. I don't really care that much. Like they could do what they want, porn exists. Like just watch that. I don't really understand why people are going to like Twitch for this stuff. Like I don't get it, but I really don't think it's destroying Twitch either. Like I think a lot of people have their audience, and people like those people are probably always gonna watch those streamers anyway because they just want to like get off. I guess I don't know. Like XQC will always have his audience, and then that's it. Like you have your audience, and that's just how it's gonna be. You're gonna have your simps, and you're gonna have your people that watch like the other streamers. So yeah, I don't really see how this is like sort of stealing viewers from like other people. Like it's not. Like they're just horny and they're gonna watch them. So yeah, that's just how it is. So yeah, that's just my take.
Yeah. And to sort of jump off of like what you were saying with like parents and stuff, I think that parents that sort of just like give their kid their phone or like throw them the iPad and then be like, have fun with it, like just have that raise the kid, like obviously like that's an issue. But also I appreciate parents that are like very active and engaged with their child, that are like, hey, like, what are you watching? Like, what are you doing? Like, obviously, like, when I think back to it, when my dad would do that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm just playing this game or whatever, like, he would check up on me every once in a while, but, it was never at the point where we are now, where there was like a bajillion different things that your kid could be watching on the internet. You know, like when I was a kid, it was mainly just like YouTube. You know, like that's the main thing that like I really knew about. And at that point, like Twitch wasn't even a thing when I was younger. Nowadays, you have things like TikTok, you have Twitch, you have YouTube, you have literally the entire internet to your kids' disposal to like really search around and watch things. So, you know, I think that parents today should definitely be very aware that like, hey, you know, like if you're letting your child go on the internet, you should probably monitor that to a certain extent, not, you know, like have, you know, their screen on like your monitor or anything like that, but, you know, check up on them every once in a while, you know, give them that privacy still, but, you know, being like, hey, you know, like what you doing here sort of thing.
No, you're right. I mean, I definitely went, you know, my parents trusted me a lot to like just go on the internet. I was before, you know, internet was so not small, but it was, you know, in its pioneer phase. You know, YouTube was like starting to be a thing. You know, I went on Newsgrounds a lot.
This was before smartphones, is what I'll say.
Yeah, it was before smartphones and stuff, and like YouTube was just starting to get going. Because I started to really use YouTube in like 2007 and 8, right? And that was like 2 years after YouTube was really a thing. So, you know, my parents didn't really know too much about it. But I mostly like, you know, I watch pretty normal videos, like a lot of YouTube poops and stuff. What you got, a lot of AVG. I didn't like that as much, but when I learned how to use headphones and plug into a computer, I'm like, it was fine. But yeah, I guess it's because the internet feels a little more sexual now, I guess, with these streamers, and maybe TikTok does a lot of like stuff like that. I wasn't really like watching that. It was more like violence and like swears and stuff. But I don't know, maybe that just crosses another line, I guess. But I don't know, it's tricky. I'll say like, you know, when I ever have a child, that's not something I'm going to look forward to, is like just how to navigate around the internet and stuff like that with a child. But it's definitely something that you have to figure out and just talk with your kid about it, basically.
Yeah, and there was another point that you brought up that was really good. But yeah, you know, like just chatting and like, oh, okay, this whole thing like stealing viewers from other people. All right, well, first up, growing on Twitch is extremely hard if you don't already have a platform. Like 100%. Yeah. Like if you're starting from zero, trying to grow a audience on Twitch is going to be very hard. And I really like anyone that is trying to become a streamer today, more props to them, because this shit is a grind and you have to get the support from your friends, your family, your inner circle, everyone, and, you know, just try to be you. And hopefully people on Twitch sort of see that and sort of be attracted to you as a streamer, because it is extremely hard to grow on Twitch to begin with. And I don't think, you know, you little Jimmy trying to sort of, you know, grow on Twitch, trying to play, you know, like Valorant or whatever, is going to steal viewers from someone that wants to watch these hot tub streams or whatever. Like those are probably two completely different viewers that you're probably going to get. So I think that, you know, Twitch isn't just about games anymore, ever since they opened up the IRL and sort of like just chatting feature. And obviously with the whole hot tub category now implemented, with now summer coming into play, you know, it is what it is. I think that this is not really doing harm to anyone, and to anyone that, or to any streamer that is taking advantage of this, you know, more props to you. And yeah, you know, like this is causing no one harm, honestly. Like this is causing no one harm. And I think anyone that's really, you know, upset and angry at this, I really have to ask you why, you know?
Yeah, basically. I just don't see the big deal in it. I don't really see why people get that upset about it. Just, I guess, let them do their own thing. You know, if you want to judge them, that's fine. I'm not telling you can't like shit on them or anything, but like like just calling for like acts of like, come on, like Twitch, I'm just like, who cares? I'm just I don't
yeah,
care.
like so. You can have your opinion, but, you know, just like be understanding, or like sort of see the other side point of being like, hey, like this is kind of harmless, you know?
Yeah, basically that's basically my stance on it as well.
All right, so we'll move on from that. The Nintendo Switch Pro is expected to be revealed before E3. So this was sort of exposed by a Bloomberg article that is behind a paywall still, I believe. But yeah, pretty much the new Nintendo Switch Pro is going to be announced before E3, and it is going to have a 7-inch screen. It's still going to run at 720p just to maintain its battery life, and they are going to phase out the current regular Switch model in favor of this new Pro one, and then on top of that, they're going to release another sort of Switch Lite in replacement of the other one as well. So yeah, I think that Nintendo making another Switch model is fine. I think the Switch has been out for, how long has it been? I think it's been
5 years now.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 5 years.
I think it's been long enough.
4.
Yeah, for them to be like, hey, like we're gonna do like a sort of small upgrade to, or maybe not small, but a upgrade to those that are interested in it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the Xbox One and PS4, when they did their upgrades, it was like pretty soon, like right after they, or maybe not pretty soon, but it was soon after I bought mine, which I bought it like a year after. So I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are, but I'm sure that where Nintendo is within the same time frame as when Sony and Microsoft did their upgrades as well. So I think that a new Switch model, I think, is fine. I think that what this sort of Bloomberg article is proposing, it'll be released sometime in September or October, and it'll be a sort of slight upgrade, or maybe not even slight, just a overall upgrade from the Switch model that we have currently.
Yeah, so this is really good. Obviously, I actually discounted the PS4 Pro because I'm like, oh, this is probably just a small upgrade. Because I was used to things like the PS3 and the PS3 Slim, or the PS2 and PS2 Slim, where it's like, oh, it's just a really tiny upgrade. It doesn't really help with anything that much. So like, I saw no point in really getting a PS4 Pro or anything. But the performance it does is a lot better than what you would get from a normal PS4. Like Crash 4, you would play at steady 60 frames on the Pros, and on the regular consoles, it was like really struggling to get to that frame rate. You know what I mean? So if the Nintendo Switch Pro could be sort of like that would be fantastic. A game I could really think of is Age of Calamity, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That game kind of runs like garbage on the base Switch, so it'd be cool if maybe that extra sort of like firepower from the Pro can make it actually run at a stable 30, like for once, because that'd be really nice. I really just want a stable 30 frames, right? Like that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for 60 frames for this thing. I'm asking for 30 frames, just a stable 30 frames without any drops, please. Yeah, like it's pretty like known that the Switch is like super underpowered compared to everything else. So just having it have that extra consistency would be nice until like Nintendo releases their actual new console at some point in the future. So
yeah, and I did a little bit of research. The PS4 released in 2013, and then they announced the Pro in 2016. So that was like 3 years later. So obviously, Nintendo is a little late to the party compared to them, but they're always late to the party to anything. And I think that them wanting to do a upgraded model for the Switch is fine, because I think that a lot of people have been wanting one. Like you said, unstable frames and sort of the Switch being underpowered as is a major concern for a lot of people, because when you're playing these games and they're dipping below 30, that's kind of concerning in 2021, I'm gonna be honest. So I hope that the Switch Pro can at least do that. That's all I'm really asking for. And I might upgrade. I'm not sure, just because I feel like that I'm content with the Switch right now. And then, I kind of said this when they announced the Switch. I was like, oh, I don't need it. I could still play Zelda on my Wii U. And then I was like, I kind of want the Switch. So, we'll just have to wait and see when they announce it within the upcoming weeks, hopefully, if these rumors are true.
Yeah, so like there already been listings in like Amazon and stuff in some countries saying like, oh, you could get the new Nintendo Switch Pro now, but obviously that was like released too soon. So it probably is going to get announced real soon. Maybe even next week, we don't know, because they're not really having, there's not too much time before E3, so it kind of has to be either next week or the week after that at this point. So get all those shop stores ready, get your credit card ready, get ready to pre-order that shit, because it's gonna be gone.
The scalpers are gonna be back at it again, unfortunately.
God, I was
man.
The pain of getting a PS5 was like so annoying, and I'm not looking forward to getting this. At least this won't stop me from playing new Switch games, but I still want it. So yeah, so that's gonna be fun.
It will definitely be fun in some regards.
All right, so now we got some Pokemon news, because they just dropped this on Twitter with like no fanfare. The Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes are going to be coming out November 19th. Pretty standard Pokemon release days, usually always come out in November. But Pokemon Legends Arceus will be releasing January 28th, 2022. That's really soon, and I think that's a little too soon for that game to be coming out. So obviously both of these games, when they showed them, were kind of rough. A lot of people didn't like how the Diamond and Pearl remakes were looking. Legends Arceus was like really rough. It basically looked like a tech demo of what an open world Pokemon game would be. So a lot of people were saying, okay, they could fix these up in no time. Diamond and Pearl is probably going to come out in November, which it is. They could probably fix up how the graphics look, and that's fine. And Arceus probably isn't coming out until like the next year after that. that, so they have enough time to fix that game up so it could be like in a presentable state. But nope, it's coming out literally a few months after Diamond and Pearl remake come out, which is, again, I think way too soon. I think they could have definitely delayed Arceus till November. It would have made sense anyway. We're already having a Pokemon Phil really soon. Like, I don't think Arceus has to release that in that like that early. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like, I really doubt they could fix everything wrong with that game in like a few months.
Yeah,
But
and I think with Legends Arceus, they already planned to have it like first quarter of the year. So at best, I would assume like March, April. But the fact that they are pushing for this January release date, oh boy, get Twitter ready, bro. There's gonna be a lot of funny clips. I'm gonna be honest because when we first saw it, it looked really rough, like you said, and I'm not sure how much they've worked on it since, how much they were able to fix it to make the frames look stable, to have it actually, look like a pretty decent open world Pokemon adventure, because that's the one that I think a lot of people have their eyes on. Obviously, the Diamond and Pearl remakes are still like pretty high profile, especially since those are the first like mainline Pokemon games that aren't developed by Game Freak, right?
yeah,
So
they're game developed by someone else.
yeah, so a lot of people are concerned with that, and on top of that, they are remakes. So I think that Legends Arceus, I'm hoping that they look better the next time we see them, because if they're not, it's gonna be very concerning when we reach January, and I hope that they delay it. But I don't think Pokemon games ever get delayed. I feel like when they announce a release date, they're like really fucking solid on that shit. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't end up as bad as we think it is. But if it does, we're gonna get some really funny clips, just like with that tree in what was it, Sword and Shield or whatever. Yeah. But
it's just like Pokemon has such a rigid release schedule because it's such a big multimedia franchise. Like, the games are basically secondary to everything else. Like, the games basically just introduce like the new like Pokemon and stuff, while everything else makes the money. Obviously the cards, as we talked about, the anime, the merchandise, and all that stuff probably carries the series more than just the games themselves. The games themselves are kind of just vehicles for that like process. So delaying games doesn't really help them like at all, especially if it's a new generation. That's what's kind of weird, that these two games aren't new generations. They're obviously both like Sinnoh based. So I really don't see why they couldn't just delay at least Arceus, because it's not a new region. It's a freaking remake. Oh, well, Legend Arceus is set in the Sinnoh region, so I don't know why they haven't delayed it. Like, they probably want to do a big like revival of the Sinnoh region. It's like, oh, here's a bunch of new Pokemon card packs, and probably the anime is gonna have a lot of Sinnoh stuff again or whatever. But yeah, but I just hope it looks better than what it did, because it's basically everything anyone wanted, right? Like an open world Pokemon game. There's only one version, there's not multiple versions. It's really taking a lot of steps forward, but just the gameplay itself looks very barren, empty, and again, it just looks like a tech demo. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see until like a Pokemon Direct happens and really shows us what the meat of this game is gonna be. If it's just like catch your Pokemon in this like empty field, that's gonna be bad. So hopefully it's not like that, because this game has potential. I just wish it wasn't made by Game Freak. So
yeah, it's definitely gonna be it's definitely gonna be interesting. I will say that. We keep throwing these words around, interesting. We'll just have to wait and see, etc. Because that's really like what it comes down to, especially with this one, because it's really up in the air, because we haven't seen these games since they initially revealed them. And, we got the release dates for the remake, November 19th, which is sort of expected somewhere within November. But, just a few months after, we get the Legends Arceus game, which is a little soon. So hopefully it's not as bad as we think it is.
Yeah, hopefully not.
All right, so next bit of news is the last gaming news we got is Horizon Forbidden West. There was a state of play that sort of gave us, I believe they said 13 minutes of gameplay footage.
Yeah.
And as a person that strictly played Horizon Zero Dawn just for the gameplay, I kind of know what happens in the story, but I wasn't really paying attention that much. Don't kill me when I say that. The gameplay for this one looks very fun. The fact that we have a grappling hook now is very, very cool. I think that grappling hooks in general have been a sort of staple within newer PlayStation open world games. They came in for Last of Us Part 2, and now they're in this game, and I think that, adding more traversal options is very, very dope. And then we got the underwater stuff, which, it just like the game itself just looks goddamn beautiful, which I
Yeah.
am very happy that this is a PS5 exclusive, because if this was on both platforms, there would obviously be a huge deficit between the two versions. But the fact that they are able to put their full time in making sure that this game looks the best that it can on the PlayStation 5, I'm very happy for that. And obviously with the whole sort of combat system with Aloy just shooting goddamn peanut arrows or whatever, not doing much, and then she whips out the sort of like little animation that she did, which
Yeah.
someone on Twitter said that was the most Kingdom Hearts animation they've ever seen in
really
Horizon
was,
Zero
yeah.
Dawn. That shit was so funny. I was like, you know what? That kind of did look like a Kingdom Hearts animation, but yeah, I mean, the gameplay just looks more of the same, but a little better, and I cannot wait to jump back into it because, like I said, Horizon Zero Dawn, I really enjoyed that game. Maybe if I knew what was going on within the story, maybe if I actually paid attention to it, it would definitely be one of my favorite PlayStation games. But just from the gameplay alone, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, so I actually ended up really liking the story. I was like you, where I didn't know how good the story was actually going to be. But I found the whole mystery about Zero Dawn and like Aloy's past and like how the world became like this was super interesting. And that really, I didn't expect it to hook me as much as it did. I didn't really like the tribal stuff though. That stuff was kind of boring. But luckily that wasn't too much of in the game. It was mostly about finding out about Zero Dawn and what it means and how these machines came about. That stuff was like honestly like really interesting to me. And the story was like way better than I thought it was gonna be. That's basically all I'm gonna say. It was really good. And as someone that played the game probably played less than a year ago at this point, I could say that I'm also very excited for Forbidden West. I think giving Aloy more mobility and combat options is fantastic, since after playing things like Spider-Man or even like Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, Aloy felt like a rock, right? Like Aloy is like, she can't really do a whole lot. Obviously, she could override machines and ride them and stuff, but it's nowhere near like Spider-Man, like swinging around, obviously, and even like Ghost of Tsushima's like controls just feel a bit better. She did feel really stiff, even compared to Link and Breath of the Wild, because they both kind of released at the same time. Link was obviously a lot more agile than Aloy was, so giving her like a glider, giving her a grappling hook, I think that's all great additions to helping like the exploration. I think that's gonna be a lot better in general. The melee against human combatants looks pretty fun, since fighting humans in the base game was kind of just boring, kind of just headshot them or do really basic melee combos. Wasn't really a whole lot to it. Adding, like you said, that like really crazy animation, like super move looks pretty fun. I think so you could open up like human targets for like some critical point, like she like hit them and there was a big circle around him and they could shoot him for like big damage. That looks pretty cool as well. And obviously fighting robots is always the best part. It looks like she has a lot of new tools she could use, like sort of like sticky bombs and like a whole bunch of weapons she could use. So yeah, the game just looks like a great improvement over the first game, and I thought the first game was really good. So I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously the game looks fantastic as well, really beautiful. I love the colors and everything. The robot designs look really cool as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it. No release date yet though. Apparently I think it's still supposed to be releasing this year, but still haven't set a release date. But that's okay. They could take their time. Even if it doesn't release this year, which I doubt, I'm pretty sure it's going to release this year. As long as they take their time and it's a good game, I wouldn't mind, because I'm going to buy it anyways. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that this is going to be a November, even December title. They're probably going to give themselves as much time as possible to make sure that this game is as good as it is, because when it comes to open world games, like they can obviously be hit or miss. And with the first game's success being already there, they're obviously going to try to make sure that this is just as good and hopefully a lot better than the first one. And like you said, the glider, I thought that was like a really good tool, because, sometimes I would fall and, maybe die or take some damage because I'm dumb. But, hopefully I'll be able to, jump back into Horizon Forbidden West and actually understand what's going on within the story. Because for the most part, when it comes to the story, all I remember is the beginning, because that stuff was very memorable to sort of set up Aloy as a character. And then the ending, which I'm not going to spoil, and this sort of like twist that was going on within there and other stuff like that. But the middle is like a complete blank to me. I have no idea what the fuck was going on there. But I'm very excited to just jump back into this game and sort of play more of Horizon within this, world where it's a post-apocalyptic with like not zombies, goddamn robots and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of fun when I played it a couple years ago, and I cannot wait to go and see what they do with this one. So,
Hell yeah. All right, so now on to some superhero stuff. I got a new Batman anime series in the works with J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, and Bruce Timm. So it's going to be Matt Reeves is going to be directing the upcoming Batman film with Robert Pattinson. Yeah, Bruce Timm is going to he co-created a Batman animated series. So that that alone gets a lot of people hyped up, right? Because
yep.
a lot of people regard that as some of the best like Batman like media that ever existed. Like I'm pretty sure you can talk to anyone, they'll probably say like, yeah, that was probably the best Batman. And we got a quote here saying the series would be thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots, while diving deeper into the psychology of these iconic characters. They also in a joint statement, we cannot wait to share this new world. So obviously that's very exciting. There's been honestly like a lot of new Batman stuff in the works. Obviously with the new games coming out and now this. Also with the new Batman movie also coming out, it seems like a pretty good time to be a Batman fan. And obviously I'm not the biggest Batman fan. I've never really delved that deep into it, but probably would now since this alone, this new Batman project does sound really neat. There's just a lot of big names working on it, a lot of big promises here, so hopefully it delivers. So
yeah, there's 100% a lot of pressure on these three guys to really, step up and really bring this series to be like the spiritual successor to the Batman the animated series, because like you said, that series is regarded as like one of, if not the best superhero sort of animated show ever. And one day I will get to watching that. But just having these three big names, it's sort of like the goddamn Triforce of Batman right now. Matt Reeves, Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams. That's a lot of big names working on this single project. So I'm sure with their three heads together, they can create something as good, maybe even better than the original animated series, because that came out in the 90s and it's been so long since then. There's been a bunch of other Batman stories that have been sort of created and sort of made since that show came out. And since that was like a sort of, kids cartoon show, there was only so much that they could do with it. And I'm sure that they're going to have this premiere on some sort of cartoon. It is going to be on Cartoon Network in HBO Max. So there's probably going to be the same or similar limitations that they had with the original animated series for this one. But I mean, with just this teaser poster alone, like this shit just looks really, really cool. But yeah, like you said, it's definitely a good time to be a Batman fan, just because I feel like after The Dark Knight Rises, maybe that's when it sort of started, when like being a Batman fan was kind of
Yeah.
Obviously there were still the Arkham games that were still coming out, and then Arkham Knight happened, and we're not going to talk about that. And then, with the whole DCEU stuff, Batman has not really had a really good shining spot recently, but I think with the new movie coming out and with this show now being announced and in the works, I think that Batman fans have something to be very excited about. So
Yeah, it's sort of how I felt as a Spider-Man fan during the I guess this era where we got like a bunch of good Spider-Man stuff. But it was definitely like a dark age of being a Spider-Man fan, where the amazing movies were coming out, Spectacular Spider-Man got canceled, no new games. It was definitely a bad time. So I'm pretty sure that's how some Batman fans felt now. But now having that new vitalization, new games coming out, new movie, new animated show, hopefully to get the same treatment we did with Spider-Man, because it's always a good time when that happens.
All right, so we're going to move on from there. Dave Bautista, who is the actor within Guardians of the Galaxy, he plays Drax. He turned down a role within the Fast and Furious movies as he wants to fight for a role in the Gears of War movie. So I think that this is very interesting, just because Dave Bautista, in like this little interview, he pretty much said that he obviously the Fast and the Furious franchise, having more big names and big actors on there, and he would probably fit in that sort of franchise very well, but he turned it down because he wants to play Marcus Phoenix, and he is very passionate about that character and sort of passionate about that story. And more props to him, honestly, because I think that when it comes to Gears of War, especially for me personally, I think that the thing that I like the most about Gears of War is 100% the story. And even with the sort of new reboot with Gears 4 and Gears 5, I still haven't played Gears 5 yet, but the story that it was going within that sort of new trilogy, if you will, was very interesting. But I think that the original trilogy for Gears of War with Marcus Phoenix's story and his sort of journey, I thought that was very fun. And I think that Dave, he could probably pull off Marcus Phoenix pretty well. And I'm not sure who else would really play that role, especially since he's very upfront and very, he very much wants to play the role. And I think that, if he wants to play it, I'm pretty sure WB should, at least give him a shot,
Yeah, dude, I could definitely see him as Marcus Phoenix. That would be really sick. I think his body was built for a Gears of War movie. I mean, like, look at him, right? So, and plus, Fast and the Furious always feels more like the series is very, very popular, right? Like, people go out and see it all the time. Family. But for Gears of War, that's that haven't been the thing yet. So I think it'll be neat to see him sort of bring his own flavor into that instead. So yeah, I hope he fights for that role and he gets it, because I think that would be pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that, whenever actors are really passionate about something, I think that, you should give them the opportunity to do something about that, because, there's obviously a lot of people within Hollywood that are just there to make money or whatever. But when you have someone, passionate about the art and actually passionate about the role and what is actually being created here, and not just about, oh, okay, like this is just another paycheck, if you will. I think that is very, very cool to see. So, I hope he gets it. I hope that, whatever sort of form that this Gears of War movie turns into, he's part of it.
Yep. So, speaking of, I guess, MCU, because he was in the MCU, we had the Eternals teaser trailer, which is basically just a trailer. I don't know what to call it, teaser trailer, but here it is. So the trailer is very weird. Like the Eternals is has a very different vibe compared to anything else we've seen with the MCU. Usually the MCU is pretty upbeat. Usually has a bunch of things going on. You could tell when something's an MCU movie. Obviously they all have different styles and different genres, but you can always tell when something's an MCU movie. This one feels very different. It's a very different feeling I get when watching this. It feels a lot more serious. Obviously there's that little joke in the end, but it does feel really different compared to everything else. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing yet, because I haven't seen the movie yet. But from what I've seen, it does look pretty cool. I'm not too familiar with the Eternals at all. I'm guessing they're some weird godlike race that I've oh, we shouldn't interfere with them, but now we will. So I guess that's what's going on. Again, I'm not familiar with them at all. But like I said in previous podcasts, I think that's the part of why I like the MCU so much, because they introduce us to so many new heroes that we have no idea existed until they are in the MCU. So I'm looking forward to getting to know all of them. There's a lot of them, so I don't know if they're gonna flesh all of them out or some of them are gonna die or whatever. But definitely has me interested, because it does feel very different from all the other MCU things we've had at this point.
Yeah, the tone for the Eternals feels very, very much, not like the MCU, where it's not, jokes or whatever. This feels very serious, and there's going to be a lot of sort of backstory stuff going on to see exactly what the hell were they doing when Thanos came. That's definitely the meme that's been going on Twitter. It's Thanos showed up and they just did nothing, huh? So, but yeah, I'm interested. Obviously, we're both MCU fanboys, so we're gonna fucking watch this movie either way. Yeah. Just to sort of get to see what the hell is going on with this. So hopefully it's good. Obviously, I like it when the MCU does stuff differently, because when you do something so formulaic, it does get stale and you can sort of fumble here and there. For example, Ant-Man 2, I think that is one of the worst modern MCU movies to date. Rest in peace, Ant-Man. I will keep saying that just because I loved Ant-Man 1 so much, and then Ant-Man 2 is just such a flop. But Eternals, it is very different, it is very interesting, and I just want to see it, because I think that this could be either a Doctor Strange, or it could be a Guardians of the Galaxy sort of thing. But I don't think it'll meet the heights of Guardians, just because Guardians had a much lighter tone and a lot more playful sort of feel to it. But who knows? Maybe that's just what this teaser trailer is trying to give us, because I feel like that there could be some funny and goofy moments, because there is so goddamn many of them, So there's definitely going to be a lot of dynamics going on within this film.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it as well. Again, different feeling, different vibe. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I'm gonna watch it anyway, so it doesn't really matter what I think, because I'm gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be in theaters this November, which hopefully the state of the world is much better at that point.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, the last bit of news we got here is that Aaron Taylor Johnson, you guys might know him from him being Dave Lewinsky or whatever his name was in Kick-Ass, and then he was also Quicksilver within Age of Ultron. He is going to play Kraven the Hunter in the Solo movie. So Yeah, I think that that is a very good role for him. I think that that is very cool to see him back in the sort of Marvel sphere, if you will. Obviously, like this is the Sony verse, if you will. But there's definitely contract obligations, and there could be some things going on here. If he does end up in the MCU, that could be pretty cool. I doubt it though, because it feels like that Sony's keeping their Venom stuff and everything else sort of. Sealed off from any MCU ties at the moment, but obviously anything's possible. But I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's a fantastic actor. I loved him in Kick-Ass. I loved him in Age of Ultron, despite him, only being in that movie. I think that he's a good actor, and I think that he can live up to expectations for the Kraven role.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to have a whole Craven movie. It's just kind of like annoying to just not have Spider-Man though, because this is like the weird Sony verse. So it's not like, oh, you're never gonna see this Craven fight Spider-Man unless Sony gets Spider-Man back, which won't happen probably. Maybe, I don't know. It's just very confusing with the whole Sony deals and stuff. It'd be cool maybe if he fights Venom instead. Like it'd be like you just make Venom their Spider-Man at that point. But I doubt that's gonna happen. If they give Kraven more backstory or whatever, that would be kind of cool. He's always been kind of just like that feel like that bonus villain that you fight in a video game. Where it's just like, oh, here's Kraven, here he comes. Like I never seen him as like a major like threat for Spider-Man, but it'd be cool to sort of see him in his own movie and stuff. But again, it's just a bummer that we won't see this Kraven fight. I guess current Spider-Man because contracts and stuff, which is super lame, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, and the movie is expected to release January 13th, 2023. So, there's obviously a lot of time between now and then. So, who knows? Anything could happen between now and then. But I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson can live up to this role.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to get into our recent activities. So I will let you go first because you were the games guy once again for the week, and I have a bunch of anime and manga. So
yeah, I got one anime because I actually had a ton of... All right, so anyway, I guess I'll start with the big thing that's been consuming a lot of my time because it's great. Mass Effect 1 and 2. So the Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out for everything, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and it's great, I guess I could talk about just the port in general. I guess the remaster and ports in general. It's really good. The game runs great on PC. I haven't had any issues. I think some people were talking about some weird mouse acceleration issues or something. That seemed to have gone patched pretty quickly. So I've noticed everything feels fine. Totally rebindable keys. There's a lot of options you could kind of mess with. Not as many as I was hoping for, but it's still enough to make the game how you want it to run and stuff. Again, there's still old games just with some polish to them, so it should run fine on basically anything. So you should be good. It just looks a lot prettier than usual. In terms of Mass Effect 1, they fixed a ton of stuff with the gameplay in general. I actually did play a bit of Mass Effect 1, the old PC version, so I kind of knew how rough the first game was in terms of gameplay and performance. The game didn't perform that well on modern PCs because again it was really old. The UI was pretty bad. It was very unintuitive for a PC player. Your health bar was all the way to the bottom left, so it was really hard to see when you were dying and stuff. They changed it to more to fit with the Mass Effect 2 and 3 UI, where it feels a lot more like a third-person shooter than an RPG. So you have your health bar right in the middle, so you can see when you're actually getting shot. The UI is just a lot cleaner in general. Everything just feels a lot better. Shooting doesn't feel weird. Again, it feels more like Mass Effect 2 and 3 and how you shoot. So gameplay wise, they fixed one a lot. They fixed a lot of the control issues as well with the Mako, which is the sort of Land Rover. You could sort of ride around in planets and stuff. It was pretty memed on because it controlled shit, but now it controls a lot better. It doesn't control as bad anymore. But yeah, so as in for the games themselves, so I finished Mass Effect 1. It took me about 35 hours. They're not too long for RPGs. Usually these games aren't as long as a JRPG, which takes hundreds of hours. Western RPGs is usually a little shorter than that. And yeah, Mass Effect 1 is fantastic. I wasn't able to really enjoy it as much when I was playing the original version just because, the gameplay and controls and performance, all that stuff got in the way. But now that all that stuff has been ironed out with the Legendary Edition, I could just enjoy Mass Effect 1 for what it is. And it is a great RPG that really introduces a really unique sci-fi world. And it does that really well. I think Mass Effect 1 probably has some of the best world building I've seen. And it does it in so little time. As soon as you do your first mission, you go to the Citadel, which is this big like space station where you get to meet like all the other alien races and stuff. And they explain like all their cultures, how all the technology works, like really like simply. Like it doesn't feel too overwhelming. And that's always a danger with RPGs, where you could get too overwhelmed with lore or exposition and world building, where it just kind of goes over your head and you kind of just don't care. I feel like a lot of like RPGs have that issue. But not this game. It feels very much like digestible. I don't know how they do it either, because they do throw a lot at you in the beginning, but all of it just seems like pretty feasible. Like, okay, that makes sense. Or, oh, I guess that's this alien's culture or whatever. It just feels all very natural. And then you're able to just explore the Citadel, just talk to all these different aliens and stuff, and it just feels good. It just feels good to have this world be built very naturally. It doesn't feel too overwhelming, and I really liked it. And I think that's what the first game really excels at, is the world building throughout the whole adventure. Is just going to all these different planets, going to all these different like solar systems and whatnot, meeting all these aliens and stuff and their cultures and all the different wars that happen throughout the galaxy in the years and whatever. It just all comes out very naturally, and I really enjoyed it. The characters are good as well. They don't build them as much as they do in the other games, apparently. They keep it a little simple with how the characters are. Especially the human characters, I feel, are pretty boring. Like the two human characters you have, Kaden and Ashley, are pretty boring characters, I'm not going to lie. Usually you don't want to really interact with the humans too much. You want to interact with the weird aliens, because that's cool. But and the main storyline also sets up for the rest of the games as well. But I think what this game excels at is definitely the world building and just exploring the galaxy as you can right now. Again, like I said, the gameplay definitely is a lot more RPG than shooter this time. In the first game, it has a lot of skill checks. You have a lot of skill trees in this game compared to Mass Effect 2, which like in Mass Effect 2 you only have like a few things you could level up. In Mass Effect 1 you could like sort of like build your character how you want, because again the game was more focused on being an RPG than a shooter than the other two. But as a result, the game isn't as fun to play as the other two, just because it is focused more on that and it just feels very clunky. I guess I could compare it to Fallout New Vegas, where I think that game is a great RPG. Same thing with Mass Effect 1, but it really sucks as like an actual like shooter. Like Fallout New Vegas was just like really clunky to like as a first-person shooter and wasn't really great. I could say the same way about Mass Effect 1, where the gameplay just it's all right. They fixed it a lot with Legendary Edition, but still isn't as good as the other games. And yeah, overall, it's just a fantastic game. I totally recommend it to anyone that's looking for a really good like sci-fi like RPG. I mean, I'm kind of late to the party. It's been more than 10 years since this game came out, but still, it's extremely good. And there's so many different choices you can make that really are meaningful to the game itself and to the sequels as well. They actually does change a lot in the sequels, so it really leads to a lot of replayability, as you can also just play as a total dickhead as a renegade, or like a goody two shoes as a paragon, which I'm doing because that always seems like a more canon route to do things. So yeah, just a lot of replayability. Of course, you go to just try a different build as well. You can try a different class. So yeah, definitely a game that I might do like a whole second playthrough of like in the future, because there is a ton of options to really like mess around with and see how different things will result in like either this game or in the sequels. And now I'm playing through Mass Effect 2. I have like a good 11 hours in it. And yeah, I could say the gameplay is like 10 times better. Honestly, it's probably one of the best improvements of a sequel I've seen since like Ratchet and Clank. Since the Ratchet and Clank one was also very clunky. The game was more focused on being a platformer than a shooter. It wasn't as focused on weapons as the other games were. But just like with Ratchet and Clank, this game focuses more on its shooter elements than its RPG elements. Its RPG elements are more streamlined and to the side than its shooter elements, which is like I guess what more people would want at that point. The game acts more of as a cover shooter this time, where you have to take cover, shoot. The first one was like that as well, but it was really easy to just break the game anyway. Mass Effect 2 is a lot harder, and the gameplay is just more engaging as a result. I can't really cheese it as much as I could with the first game. The graphics, even like I know Legendary Edition does a lot for the graphics as well, but just the glow up from Mass Effect 1 to 2 is insane. The game just looks 10 times better. The game runs a lot better as well. Everything just looks a lot better. It plays better. Everything just feels bigger as well. Right now, it's just a great sequel. Again, I can't really say too much because I haven't beaten the game yet, but it has all the strengths of Mass Effect 1 plus more, because I think the game is actually like fun to play now. So yeah, definitely I can see why Mass Effect 2 is considered the best one out of the three. Obviously, I need to play the third one before I could really say that. But yeah, right now I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to see more of the story and stuff. And yeah, really, really great series so far. I've been really enjoying it. So next, I finally caught up with My Hero, or for the most part, because I watched the dub. I know I'm a horrible person, but anyway, so I'm always gonna be 2 weeks behind. I actually didn't watch the newest episode of the dub version either, because I forgot. I'm like, oh shit, it was one more episode I didn't watch, but whatever. I got up to the second match ended in the training thing you'd been doing, and I've been enjoying it. Honestly, it feels good to watch My Hero again. I watched so many anime between season 4 and 5, I kind of forgot how cozy My Hero feels. It's just a good shonen anime that I just enjoy watching all these crazy quirks happening. Them explaining things, seeing how their different quirks work and how they fight. It's been a really enjoyable arc so far. But I can see why people aren't as into it, because it does basically feel like filler. Obviously, there's character development and there's things with, Deku, like, and how all, I guess, One for All is working and stuff. But for the most part, it's basically just fights, that don't really mean much in the end. Like, obviously, a character is gaining a lot of character development. I don't want to say what just in case no one watched My Hero, but
Yeah.
yeah, but for the most part, it does kind of feel like filler. Same thing with the festival arc. I could get why people didn't like that, or the school festival arc, why people didn't like that either, because it's basically canon filler as well. Again, I enjoyed it, but I know a lot of people didn't either. But I do think people give My Hero a hard time, like, for no reason, because I still feel like it's really good. Like season 4 especially, I feel like people shitting on the overhaul stuff I don't really get, because I really enjoy the overhaul stuff. I could get people not enjoying the festival stuff, because that speaks for itself, but I thought the overhaul stuff was done really well. Obviously, like, the ending fights, you could tell the budget was cut because of the freaking movies, and I think that's not a compromise I like, especially because I think the movies are just way weaker than the show in general. But for the most part, I still think My Hero is really solid. I just think because the new shonen animes with Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen both came out during the lowest point for My Hero, during the festival arc and now this arc, that it seems that My Hero is doing, like, worse than it actually is. 'Cause I heard it gets a lot better. I mean, you say it gets a lot better as well, but I'm still enjoying what they're putting out. Like, it's still an enjoyable show to watch. So, yeah, I maybe I'm just a simp for My Hero, because I just like it a lot. But I'm still really enjoying it. It's still a fun show to watch, and it's I like it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
And just to
Yeah,
go off on
you
that.
got
Yeah. So like My Hero, I mean, as a manga reader, not like up to date manga reader. I read the print version. So like, let me just check my goddamn manga list to see which volume I'm on or whatever. But god damn it, 6 volumes from 20, so I'm on like 26, 27, which is a little, well, maybe not a little, but it's kind of ahead of where the anime is, like 100%. And I enjoy reading it a lot more, just because when you read a manga, you're able to pace yourself. You're able to, stop at a chapter here. You're able to, read at your own pace. With a anime, you are sort of fixated on how the show's going, like how fast it's going. But even then, like when I'm watching My Hero every week, I still have a fun time with it. Maybe it's because I've read it already and I already know what's going to happen, and I just want to see it animated with like all of the music and the voice acting and everything like that. But still, like you said, My Hero is still like a pretty solid shonen. I'm not going to say it's like one of the greats, because I think that it has way too many characters, and I think that Deku is a little annoying. But I think that overall, like for what it does as like a superhero shonen anime / manga, I think that it does its job well, and I'm also enjoying it. But I think that there are some people out there that enjoy it a little too much. But hey, like, to each their own. Like, people like what they like, and I'm not gonna shame them for liking My Hero as much as they do, because there are reasons to like My Hero a lot, and they might like Deku. Me personally, Deku's a little annoying, but I'm gonna stop there. But yeah, My Hero's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically all I gotta say on it too. I think it gets a little too much hate recently, just because I think it has been on its two weakest arcs lately. But I still think I had some of the most hype moments watching, again, the hype moments in the show, especially season 3 and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm still really enjoying My Hero. I still think it's really good, and it's just a good time. Obviously, I need to watch Jujutsu Kaisen as well, because I know that's been getting a lot of hype as well. So I could complete that sort of like shonen like Triforce with My Hero Demon Slayer. Well, I guess Haikyuu also, but I count that a little differently because it's a sports anime. I know it's still
Yeah.
shonen, but yeah, I kind of count it a little differently. But yeah. Anyway, the rest of the games I've been playing are the typical MMO stuff. Destiny 2, they released a new season. I usually go in and out of Destiny whenever I feel like shooting shit. And yeah, it's great. I mean, they added a lot of improvements. They got rid of the whole sunsetting thing, which was a thing where the weapons you get during a certain season will like sort of like expire and they will stop gaining power in future seasons. People really hated that, obviously, because you would grind your ass off for a good weapon with a good like stats and stuff, and it's gonna go away soon, so you better enjoy it while you can. So they got rid of that because that was really dumb. So oh god. Now the game does feel like in a better spot. Like people really liked the last season. They added a lot of cool stuff, and this season is pretty cool as well. There's still issues that like they added transmog, which means you could transform your armor to look like any other armor. A lot of MMOs have this feature. It's a pretty no-brainer feature if you want to make your character look the way you want. Obviously, Destiny 2 didn't have that for a while till now. So now you could get sort of like you could like kind of grind out the currency to transform your armor to whatever you want. Problem is it's like it's very grindy and gatekeepy, and I think there's some microtransactions involved, and people really aren't happy. There's actually the one thing I really do like about the Destiny 2 community is they don't take shit. Like they complain a lot, and Bungie usually changes it pretty fast. Like Bungie can't get away with anything with this game. Like as soon as like, we could make a little more money here, right? And then everyone's like no. So it's very funny to see that happen. It is really entertaining. But yeah, I just enjoy it as more of a casual experience. I've been getting a little more into it recently just because I think the gameplay is just really good. I just feel like playing a good looter shooter. It's a good time. If you want to play it, it's free. Go ahead. It's a fun game. And last thing I've been playing is Final Fantasy 14 because it released this new patch on Tuesday, the last story patch of the expansion. And I'm very excited for Endwalker, which is supposed to end this sort of current arc of Final Fantasy 14 that's been happening since A Realm Reborn. And it's both really exciting and kind of scary because I'm really excited to see the end of this story, but it's also how I feel with the MCU, where I'm like, okay, they've been setting up this whole Infinity Stone stuff and Thanos since like Iron Man and stuff. Well, not since Iron Man, but they've been hinting at the Infinity Stones for a while. And now that they ended this whole arc, like I wonder where you go from here. You got to rebuild all this like a new hype cycle basically for another really long term like. I guess villain or whatever. So seeing 14 in that same spot is both really cool because I can see the ending to the story I've been invested in since like 2013 or whatever. But it's really scary also to like sort of go into something new, but also exciting. So I'm very interested to see where this game goes from here because it's been one of my favorite games for a while. I think 14 has really been such a really cool story just from how it rises from its ashes from the old shitty version to like Realm Reborn, and just how each expansion keeps getting better and better, and how you could tell such a good story in the MMO, which is something that hasn't really been done before, since MMOs usually devolve into weird fan fiction like WoW. So yeah, it's just been a really influential game to a lot of people, and I'm very excited to see how this will all end in Endwalker when that comes out. So yeah, that's all I've been doing. So now to go into your anime.
All right, my big ass list. So first up, Anohana. I finished that. I was definitely getting a little emotional towards the end just because of the music, the voice acting, the overall story when we finally got up to the final episode. Anohana is really good, and I can see why it's as hyped up as it is. If you're trying to get into, I guess, slice of life drama anime, this is definitely a good one to start off with. The characters are kind of unlikable, but then again, they're all goddamn teenagers, so there's a reason why they act like the way they do, and it's because of the sort of event that happened that I won't spoil. I mean, it's revealed pretty early on, but like to anyone that doesn't know what Anohana is, you'll find out very quickly as to what that event is. But it's a very good drama slice of life that I think that deserves all of the praise that it gets. Death Note, I honestly expected myself to finish it by now, but goddamn work. I've been working so much, but my bank account kind of looking nice, so it's okay. I'm on episode 12 out of 37. It is still very fun to watch. The goddamn big brain plays from all of the characters for the most part. Seeing Light, he's just so goddamn smart, and just seeing what he can do, and then with L on the other side of the coin and seeing what he does is it's entertaining, and I can see why a lot of people like the show as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish it by next week's episode, but no guarantees. The seasonal anime, I already talked about My Hero. Don't Toy with Miss Nagatoro. I am still having a lot of fun watching that show every week, every single time a new episode comes out. It is definitely a teasing/bully manga that is, might be up some people's alleys, might not be. I think after episode 1 and you watch episode 2, you can see the charm in this show. It's very cute. It's very wholesome, despite the whole, bullying aspect from Nagatoro. Because in episode 1, she's 100% ruthless. But I think after that, you sort of get to see why she does it, because she kind of likes senpai and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's cute. It's wholesome. And then after being rejected, I took in High School Runaway. I haven't watched the newest episode. That kind of slipped my mind, honestly. I kind of went into this podcast, was like, oh shit, I forgot to watch the newest episode, but it's fine. The last episode was okay. It was whatever. It's definitely wasn't Monka-esque like I think it was episode 6 or 5. I forget exactly which one it was, but it was definitely like, I was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, this one, you just have to watch it. Like, that's all I can really say. Like, just watch episode 1. If you like the premise and sort of where it's going in terms of like being a romance sort of anime, continue watching it. But if not, you could drop it. I've read volume 2 of Don't Komi Can't Communicate, and the reason was because I bought it at Barnes & Noble's, and I was like, well, might as well read it. So I read it, and the anime adaptation is coming out, which is very exciting because this has been an anime adaptation that people have been wanting for years now. And Komi Can't Communicate is pretty much about this girl in high school who is very popular. She's very pretty, but she has a talking disorder. Like, she literally cannot talk to people, and it is very cute. It's very wholesome to see how she, navigates that with the sort of main character. I forget his name, but sort of how she makes friends with him and sort of makes friends with all of the other weird and wacky characters. Yeah, I can see why a lot of people like it. I just want Right Stuff to send me the other volumes because they're fucking holding me back right now. But yeah, I have a lot of Komi Can't Communicate volumes. I'm literally just missing like volume 3 and 4 or whatever. So I can't really read more of it, but when I get to it. The Rent-A-Girlfriend manga. I just decided to read this because I was just like, fuck it. I have the first 4 volumes. I might as well just read them. It is slightly different from the anime. There's certain scenes that they didn't show in the anime that sort of play into the, I guess, overarching story. But I guess they cut those out within the anime because they weren't sure if this was going to get a season 2 or not. So it's going to be interesting to see those anime watchers to see when like those certain like pinpoints happen. I'm not sure if they're going to happen, but I'm just like guessing here when like certain like plot reveals happen, because there's certain things that they like foreshadow within the manga that wasn't foreshadowed within the anime from what I can remember. But anyways, it's still the same Rent-A-Girlfriend nonsense, and it's still fun to sort of read it still. The way that volume 4 ended was kind of weird. It ended like towards the end of season 1, so I need to get volume 5, which once again, Right Stuff Anime is holding that shit back for me, but I'll read it when I get to it. BL Metamorphosis. This is a manga that I bought on Amazon because I got a free $5 gift card, and I was like, well, shit, what am I going to buy? I'm going to buy a fucking manga, obviously. So I decided to buy this one because people have talked about this one and said that it is very good, and it is very short. It's only 5 volumes. So just to sell you on this manga, it's pretty much about this grandma who walks into a bookstore, finds this manga. It's a boys love manga, which is what BL stands for. Oh. And she reads it, and she's like, oh, these boys, falling in love with each other, do you have like volume 2? And she's talking to the store clerk, and the store clerk is like low key like into this stuff as well. So like she becomes friends with like this grandma character, and stuff ensues, and you sort of get to see like her perspective on life because she's a widow, and there's certain things that happen that I don't want to spoil, but like it's just very wholesome, and I just fucking felt good reading this manga. So I want to pick up the rest. I'm sort of pacing myself right now because I bought a bunch of other shit that I definitely should not have bought. So I'm gonna wait till like sometime next month to pick up the rest of the volumes, because this is 100% a manga series that I feel like I'm gonna really, really enjoy by the end of it, because it's just so cute, it's so wholesome, and you know, it really does put into perspective on life from like this grandma character. So yeah, it's very fun. Eden Zero is also very fun. It's a shonen manga that I've been reading for the past couple of episodes. It's made by the same people, or the same guy that did Fairy Tail. So I guess he did this to sort of escape the Fairy Tail hate. But once again, like I said last episode, there's 100% fan service-y scenes that I'm just like, I don't need to fucking see this. But hey, here we are. The girls are in the fucking hot tub, butt naked and shit. And I'm like, yep, they're doing exposition here because they need a reason for them to, you know, be in this scene or whatever. But there was a arc that I recently just finished. It was the sort of Digitalis arc, where they went into like this video game world or whatever, and that was pretty fun. But now I'm on, I believe I'm reading on volume 7 now, so I have all of the ones up to 10, so whenever I get to it is when I get to it. But yeah, Eden Zero is still fun. You know, it's a space adventure shonen that, you know, it's about friendship and, you know, make friends and all this other stuff. You know, it's a little cheesy, it's a little corny, but it is what it is. I think our son is gay. This is a manga that I did not expect to buy, but once again, I was in Barnes & Nobles and I sort of saw it, and I was just like, well, let me buy it and see what this is all about. So it's pretty much about this mom who thinks that his son's gay because he keeps blurring out words like boyfriend, and like she goes through like his like text message notifications, and it looks like that he's like flirting with a boy, and like the entire manga is told from her perspective. I'm only up to like chapter 10, I think. So yeah, it's cute, it's wholesome, it's slice of life, so there's not a lot going on. It's very much like episodic with like each chapter, you know, there's a new situation from chapter to chapter, and yeah, you know, it's once again more cute, wholesome shit. So yeah,
he's just hanging with the homies, you know.
Yeah, you know, he's just hanging with the homies, you know, he's just saying, hey man, you're kind of high, you know. But that definitely doesn't happen, by the way, but you know, just making jokes here. But moving on, we're going to get to the last part of the show where we are going to talk about the Sonic Central event. So before we get into anything, what did you think about this event? Personally, I had no idea that this shit was happening. So what did you think about the announcements and everything in general?
It was about what I expected, honestly. You know, I expected a bunch of like the first stuff to be like, hey, like look all the you know, old stuff, merchandise or whatever. And then, you know, obviously I kind of expected the Sonic Colors you know, remake to happen, or not remake, remaster to happen, as that was already teased, and I think it had a ESRB rating already. And I expected either a Sonic Adventure remake or a new Sonic 3D game as well. Like that's kind of what I expected, and that's kind of what we got. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that the announcements that they made were fine. I think that there were things that we obviously expected with like Sonic Colors and a new Sonic game to be announced, because there have been articles where they were like, yeah, we are working on a new Sonic game, but in this way where they showed off like a little, you know, like CG sort of cutscene or whatever, you know, like, hey, you know, we are working on a new Sonic game, guys. And then, you know, with the whole merchandising stuff, you know, like this was definitely a lot better than them just like sort of like tweeting it out with like a bunch of pictures or whatever. I definitely think the funniest Sonic merchandise thing was the goddamn jewelry. That shit was hilarious.
Hip-hop.
I was like, God damn, yeah, hip hop. To all of our hip hop heads out there, I was like, God damn it.
Oh yeah, dude.
I honestly wonder how much is that gonna be and how many are they gonna sell. That is my real question. But yeah, Sonic Colors Ultimate, that got announced. It's going to be released on September 7th, and it's coming to Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch, and it's only going to be $40, which is very cool, which some people have taken it as the opportunity to go on Twitter and be like, hey, Nintendo, you should take a page out of Sega's book. But I'm going to argue that Nintendo, they can do that because it's their own fucking console. And also Nintendo has this sort of, I'm not going to say ego. It is kind of a ego, but you know, they view their games as like, you know, they're fucking high quality, you know, like even after years, you know, when we remake it or like, you know, we port it, like it's still like up to that value, especially since, you know, they did some changes to it. So it's still $60 or whatever. But, you know, I would definitely be the one to say it should be at least 50, but anyways, $40 for the Sonic Colors remake is very cool because it came out on the Wii, and a lot of people during that time, if they were Sonic fans and they didn't have a Wii, probably weren't able to play. But now it's coming to all of these platforms of last generation / current generation with the Switch. So very, very cool.
Yeah, obviously Sonic Colors is one of the better Sonic games. I count Sonic Colors and Generations as I could really see not too many issues with them. I could comfortably call them good games. There's no like caveat. It's not like I really like Sonic Unleashed, but the Werehog, or like I like Sonic Adventure, but only the Sonic levels. So yeah, Sonic Colors and Generations are obviously some of the best Sonic games out there. So it's nice to see this one get a sort of re-release out here, mostly because it was only on the Wii, it wasn't on anything else. So it's gonna be good for maybe people that haven't even played Sonic Colors before to get a chance to play it, and it's at a discounted price already at $40. So yeah, I'll probably pick it up again since I really like Sonic Colors. I think it's still a good game, and I'll be excited to play it again because I really like Sonic Colors.
Yeah, it definitely gives us a reason to replay it, and it gives me a opportunity to replay Sonic Colors in general and do a video on it. So I'm very excited to do that this upcoming September. And then there were some other announcements. We're not going to go over everything here, guys, but I think that the new Sonic game with the whole CG thing is probably the big one. So what do you think it is?
So yeah, I think we both had the same thought where I do think it's another Boost Formula game, just because it shows Sonic running fast. I mean, it could also have Wisp as well, because when he was running, you can sort of see like the little light, like the what do you call it, the laser wisp like looking thing. Like you don't see but you see like the particles. Yeah, you see like the particles of like the laser wisp. So it seems to me to be another Boost game with Wisp in it. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's a Sonic Adventure remake. I doubt that. I think they're saying that because of the sort of like tribal looking backdrop the Sonic Team logo was on, and on like the Zap thing, the weird alien language thing, like it's like to call, right? Like that's like, I'm like, probably not. I don't think so. I mean, it could be an adventure remake with the Boost formula, but I highly doubt that. I definitely think it's gonna be that would be really weird, because that kind of takes away the whole point of an adventure game anyway, was the more free forming platforming that those games had, and that no other Sonic game has done since then. So yeah, I highly doubt that's an adventure remake. I definitely think it's another Boost Formula game with Wisp. We just don't know what exactly it's going to be called yet. And that is a little disappointing. I was kind of hoping they were done with the Boost formula after Sonic Forces, since, I think they've done probably the best 3D Sonic games with that formula, but I think it's time to sort of change it up. I would like to see them take the adventure formula and modernize it to be better than what it was. There's a lot of improvements you could do with the Sonic gameplay in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 to make it like really perfect, and that I think it would just be like a great Sonic game if they did do that, and just like, don't have any of Sonic's friends, just focus totally on Sonic, have more Sonic levels, and that'd be a great game. But I don't know if that's what they're going to be doing, because it's so Sonic boosting everywhere. So yeah, that's sort of my assumption of what this new game is gonna like be like. So
yeah, it was just a CG trailer, guys. I'm not sure what I should really take away from this. I know that the Sonic YouTube channel, like, they chatted in and said this looks familiar, and I was like, uh-oh, you're gonna cause a fucking shitstorm if it's not a remake now.
Yeah.
But some people saying that it is a adventure remake. Some people say that it is a new game. I'm leaning towards it's a new game. Maybe him going through old territory again. Maybe somehow Chaos is back. Maybe it's Sonic Adventure 3. Who the hell knows? Because all they gave was this trailer, and he's in the ruins, and he's running fast, and he has these particles around him, which I thought was really cool. But people out here analyzing the goddamn curvature of his goddamn shoe, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? We haven't had a new Sonic game since Forces, which, Sonic Forces was not that good. I'm going to be honest. Some people can say that they like that game. More power to them. Me personally, that game felt really, really lacking on all parts, really. Like, nothing about that game really felt solid to me. So, hopefully with this one, they're able to bring Sonic slightly back to form, even with just the story or even with the gameplay, like anything that is, clearly good about this one. But yeah, either way, whether it's a adventure remake, whether it's a new game, I'm going to be happy either way. We get a brand new Sonic game coming this September either way, quote unquote brand new with the Sonic Colors remake. But whatever this new game is going to be coming in 2022 on next gen platforms, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it can bring Sonic back into a positive light because, like I said, Sonic Forces was the last Sonic experience that I had, as a new release, and it was not that good. So, obviously Sonic Mania before that was really, really good, and I really, really, really loved that game. But, that was made not by Sonic Team. That was made by pretty much a studio that were fans of Sonic and knew how to create a classic game within the Genesis style. So yeah, whatever this Sonic 2022 game has to offer, I'm up for it. Sonic Adventure Remake, Sonic Adventure 3, a new game in general, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that it's good because we can't kind of afford. Like, they're kind of like, I feel like they're hyping this up more than usual since there is no release date or anything, not even like a title. It's just show that it's a new Sonic game. So I'm hoping it's bigger than anything else they have made recently. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see and what that really entails, and that we probably won't get more information until next year, which kind of sucks. But I guess that's just how it is. As long as it can take their time and make a good Sonic game, I guess that's all I care about. Sonic has always been really up and down in terms of game quality, so hopefully this is another up since, Forces was the last game to come out and that wasn't very good. So, like, I even bought, like, I didn't buy Sonic Forces during launch. I bought it like a few years later for like 20 or no, less than that, like $10, and I beat it in like 4 hours or less than that. Like, it was like, I'm like, all right, I guess. Like, yeah. It wasn't very good.
I forget how much I paid for it. I definitely bought it at launch because, I'm the Sonic guy and I have to make a video on it. So I was just like, well, I'm going to buy it. Hopefully this is, a decently long game. And then I finished it in like one session. I was like, or maybe two. It's probably two. But I was just like, shit. Like, goddamn. It was really that short. You guys had 3 different gameplay styles with Classic Sonic, Modern Sonic, and the create your own character, which I was still 100% against when they announced that. I was like, god damn it, you guys are buying into the fandom of people creating their own OCs and everything like that, which, it's cool to see fandoms do that in general, but when it mixes in with the games, that's when I'm a little iffy on, okay? Like, it's actually like super duper cool seeing like the Sonic community, like create their own characters, create their own sort of, people pretty much, within this sort of Sonic universe. But when it mixes into the games, that's when I get a little iffy on because I like to keep certain things separate, if you will. But hopefully that wasn't too controversial from what I said. But yeah, Sonic, it has always been up and down, like me and David have been following Sonic pretty much all of our lives.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is another up, whatever this entails, because this is the 30th anniversary sort of game that they're, I guess, hyping up, which is why a lot of people have huge expectations for, which, me personally, I guess I'm getting to that age where it's like, it's any old birthday, it's just another year,
Yeah.
But, hopefully, because they are doing a lot of stuff with Sonic in general, because they announced a lot of other things within this sort of Sonic Central event with the iOS stuff, other in-game appearances like in the Tokyo 2020 game, which looked really funny.
Cursed, yeah.
That looked really funny because you just have Sonic running around with like these human characters, and I'm just like, yep, this definitely fits in here. And then you have the Sonic Netflix series with Sonic Prime, which it was pretty much them being like, we are passionate about this project and we are looking forward to bringing you guys this thing. And I'm like, all right, cool. But, outside of that, the obviously main announcements that people are super focused on are the 2 games that we discussed. But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about or dive into from this event?
No, that's really about it. It was mostly the new game and colors.
Sonic Origins, them redoing
That's
or doing
cool.
another, it is cool doing another re-release of the classic titles, but I think someone on Twitter pointed out that, there should be some love towards the, adventure titles and Sonic Heroes and things like that. So, hopefully maybe they got something planned, because I think that they said that they have a lot more planned that they haven't announced yet. So maybe they have a sort of Sonic Mega Manga collection, but with the 3D games. I think that would be very cool. Even if they are just like straight up ports and like high resing it to HD or whatever, I think that would be very cool. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, because this 30th anniversary celebration, I'm pretty sure, is just getting started, because they described Sonic as like a multimedia sort of character, which is true, within comic books, within cartoons, within movies now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say Sonic's popularity probably got a big boost from the movie, actually. So it doesn't surprise me that it really started like taking like, you see like they're really pushing like movie Sonic like a lot. Like, oh, you could get like a baby movie Sonic keychain. You could get like all this other stuff in the Sonic Colors remastered. Like it's this seems to be really pushing it, because I'm pretty sure that movie did pretty well. So yeah, they probably want to take advantage of this like new hype for Sonic that people are having. So but yeah, that basically I'm also hoping for a 3D Sonic collection at some point. It'll be cool to play Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 with like some new features. Maybe they fix some things, delete Big from Sonic Adventure 1, things like that. That'd be really cool. But yeah, I would also like to see more love for the 3D games, but who knows, maybe that is what they have in store. We just gotta wait and see, honestly.
Yeah, and one last thing. I can't believe we skipped over this. The Sonic Colors animation, Rise of the Wisps, I think that's a pretty good name. Is Roger Craig Smith back? I don't know. He was in the sort of presentation. Yeah. They said
he's back to doing Sonic, I think. Like I think they couldn't find a better voice for Sonic, so they're just like, okay, you're still Sonic. I think that's what they did with Mike Pollock as well, when he was like, I think when they were replacing everyone, but Eggman was like, okay, you could stay because you're like good. I'm pretty sure they're just going to keep him as Sonic, because I mean, I'm pretty used to his voice at this point. Like, he sounds like Sonic to me now, so it'd be kind of weird if he just wasn't Sonic anymore. And he seems really passionate about the character anyway, so I don't really see why they would like just move away from him at this point. So yeah, I think keeping him is the smart decision, honestly.
Yeah, and since we're getting a remaster of his first game as Sonic Colors, that is, obviously fitting. But yeah, this animation, I think with every other animation that we've gotten so far, there has been no voice acting. So the fact that they are, bringing on a team of voice actors from the games to this animation is very, very cool. It's going to come summer 2021. I'm sure it's going to be on the Sonic YouTube channel as usual. But yeah, Roger Craig Smith coming back, sort of, I guess getting his job back, because Sega was like, well, shit, all of these people, they kind of sound like Sonic, but can they do the same things that they wanted from before? I guess I don't know. It just seems a little weird that they let him go and then they brought him back. But I guess like you said with Mike Pollock, I mean, literally, how are you supposed to replace Eggman from Mike Pollock? There's literally no way. Like, there's no reason to replace Mike Pollock.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I was gonna say, I just feel like I don't get the point of just changing the voice actor. Like, obviously he likes Sonic, and obviously he just sounds like Sonic. Like, if you're gonna find another voice actor that sounds like him, then why not just keep using him? Like, it's kind of just like a weird. Unless you want to take Sonic in a totally different direction, personality-wise, which they won't, because his whole personality is being too cool for school. So like, having him keep voicing Sonic just seems like the normal thing to do. Like, the only time you should really replace a voice actor is if they get canceled or if they like die or something. Like, usually it's like, or unless they don't want to do the character anymore as well. Obviously that's also an option, but obviously if they still want to do the character, just let them do it. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely cool to see him back, but it was definitely a very weird limbo for like a couple months, I think, where it was like, all right, who's gonna be the next Sonic voice actor? But I guess that case is closed for now, once again. So until they want to replace him again, or Roger Craig Smith doesn't want to do it anymore. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the important stuff from the Sonic Central event. It was only like 12 minutes long, so if you want to see everything that was announced on there, you could check it out on I believe it's on the Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel. So, but is there anything else you'd like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to us once again. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with our first impressions of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Oh, that's crazy to think about. Yeah. I see you guys later, because that's hype.